Are you a New Year's guy, Rob?
Not really. I like to sit at home and just watch the New Year's ball get dropped right on TV. It's a lot of mayhem. It's a lot going on when you go out for New Year's. There's a lot of amateurs out there, and I'm not an amateur, Kay. So I'm a guy that sits at home and just chills out and just relaxes.
Did Santa bring you anything great this year?
Yes, I actually have the present right here, so let me grab it. You know I love treatments. You know I love massages. The secret thing for myself is I really love tickles, especially on my back. Camila and I were always tickling each other's back, but I got a scalp massager right here. It makes you just feel nice and comfortable and relaxes you. And it just always feels so good. Whenever I'm just chilling, I just use the scalp massager. It's my favorite gift I got this year. Thank you, Santa.
Santa, I mean, Will Ferrell as Elf must have put in a great word for you to get that amazing gift.
Also,
did you actually ask somebody for that?
No, I didn't. They just knew. Santa just knew. And Will Ferrell put a good word in for me, like you said. So thank you, Will, as a helper, as being an elf. Thank you so much.
If you guys have questions for Gronk, hit me up, whether it's on Twitter at Up and Adam Show or in the YouTube chat. We're going to get some answers out of the Gronk today. But let's talk about some of these storylines in the NFL. I'm in this like Barbara Walters investigative reporting moment where I'm trying to figure out what the hell is happening with the Chiefs. Because I would never speak against them or think that they won't make it really far because they've proven me wrong. And like last year they did it without Tyreek and they did it and it was brilliant. And I feel like I'm expecting it to come together. Do you feel like it's going to come together for them, or do they have trouble written all over them?
They're having trouble right now. There's no doubt about that. I mean, they can't really put it together as an offense as a whole. And put up the points that they need to put up in order to win the game. But I do think they have a switch where they will be able to turn it up when it's necessary. Are they going to use that switch? I'm not sure. That will determine once the playoffs hit, if they can hit that switch and take it to that gear that they need to be at, like they have been over the last 3-4 years when they hit the playoffs. So that's going to be a question that will be determined when it comes to playoff time. If the Kansas City Chiefs can hit that switch, Travis Kelce can play his best game. The guys around him can play the best game as well. Kadarius Toney can pick it up a notch and fix all those mistakes. And if they do that, they will be lethal in the playoffs, and they will be able to beat any team if they turn it up to that notch that they know how to.
A lot of talk on Twitter about last week when you said that Kadarius Toney sort of looks like he might not love football as much based on how he's playing, some of the mistakes he's making. I mean, he did not play this weekend, yet they continue to look paltry. And Patrick and Travis, two first ballot Hall of Famers, people who say like are some of the best to ever play the position. The elevating of other people isn't really happening like we've seen it before, like we've seen it on offenses that you won 4 Super Bowl championships with. And I'm asking, Twitter, what's the difference? And, they can't say Tyreek Hill because he wasn't on the team last year. Maybe Eric Bieniemy, because he left and he's probably really pretty disciplined. But I'm hearing a lot of stuff like this. I think the Chiefs are just worn down. How many big games have they played the last 4 to 5 years? Plus, they played deep in the playoffs. They've essentially played one extra season over the last year. And I'm like, Tom and Gronk did it. Like that's it. You did it year in year. So I don't think, it's weird excuses. And I'm just like, I want to show the gif of Tom with all the rings.
Yes, but it's not really an excuse. If you're run down and you're tired, it's tough to go out there and play at a high level on the football field, especially when you're going with other athletes and other stars week in and week out on the other side of the ball. I mean, the defense, though, you got to give the Kansas City Chiefs defense some credit. There's a guy on that defensive side of the ball that I keep looking at, and I keep being surprised week in and week out at the level that he is playing at, just how good of a player he is, and that's L'Jarius Sneed. He's playing at a level where, I don't even want to go one-on-one in my prime versus him. He knows how to jam a guy right off the ball. He's all up in the grill from the beginning. He's tackling guys in the backfield like he's a linebacker. That's a guy that has been lethal for the defense, who has been carrying the Kansas City Chiefs throughout the whole year now. But on the offensive side of the ball, yes, they look tired. They look run down. They look worn out. And they got to figure out how to get some rest, get some sleep, so they can come out there and play if they want to do some damage in the playoffs.
a lot of talk is happening about how Patrick Mahomes is being sort of more vocal. He's on the sidelines. People are saying he's whining. People are saying he's a baby. We've seen great quarterbacks do this. Brady was pretty vocal on the sidelines, back in the day. Why is Mahomes catching so much flack for this? What do you think? What's your read on this?
I wouldn't really look too much into Mahomes yelling at his teammates. It's kind of more of him being motivational, trying to spark the offense to go out there and make some plays. That's how I look at it. I'm saying the fans are calling him a crybaby, that he's a whiner right now because he opened the gate after he complained about the referees about a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whenever that happened, when he was complaining that the refs were against him. But this situation right here, him yelling at his teammates, it's because he's being a leader. And that's what you want to see out of a quarterback. That's what makes him a great quarterback. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league right now, possibly one of the greatest of all times. That will be determined over the next few years, obviously. But yes, you want to see that out of a quarterback, someone who cares and someone who's trying to motivate and give the team a spark.
You liked the Cowboys going into the season. So did Taylor Lewan, who joins our show every week. And he was on yesterday, and he said that yesterday, after the loss to the Dolphins, he feels like they're further than ever than they've been all season from the Super Bowl, that he's losing faith in them. In a close game situation, Dak Prescott's MVP odds on FanDuel Sportsbook have plummeted. They are off the grid, off the map, below everybody, buried. What do you make of the Cowboys' chances at making a run in the NFC right now?
Yes, they are my Super Bowl favorites. Hopefully they prove me right. But as of right now, I don't see them really getting past the divisional round in the playoffs. They're going to have to go on the road in the division once the playoffs start. And they just haven't been able to get it done on the road either. I mean, they've lost 5 on the road. And another fact is that they're losing on the grass. When there's grass and it's an away game, they lose. So it's like they love the turf. I don't know why. It's just the fact that I was told that, they can't win on the grass or away games. But just overall, I see the Dallas Cowboys. They will be going on the road in the playoffs, and I see them losing the first game, the divisional game, on the road.
They might have to go to the team you won your last Super Bowl with. If the Bucs beat the Saints, by the way, the Bucs getting no love. They're about to win the NFC South. They've won a bunch straight. They look great after a really slow start to the season. They look good on offense and defense right now. The Cowboys, do they have a chance to go, if they had to go in through the Bucs, you give the Bucs that game with Baker Mayfield at quarterback over Dak, Mike McCarthy and company?
Oh man, that's going to be a good game actually, but I will have to give it to the Buccaneers. It's going to be a home game for the Bucs. If the Dallas Cowboys end up going there, and the way that the Buccaneers are playing, they are hitting their stride right now. It doesn't matter how you start; it's about how you finish. And the Cowboys, the Buccaneers, they did start pretty hot. They had some wins, and then they kind of crashed a little bit, lost 4 in a row or something. But now they're back. Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield, Chris Godwin, they're all on the same page. The defense is playing pretty well also. So I can see the Buccaneers definitely turning it up. They're coming together as a team, and it would be great to see them get that win first week of the playoffs. But first, they got to take care of business versus Saints this week and clinch a playoff spot, Kay. So we can't go too far about the Buccaneers until they clinch a spot, all right?
It is kind of interesting to hear you after. We're in week 17, and you're finally coming off of the Cowboys a little bit, just like Taylor Lewan. So what is it in you, a 4-time Super Bowl champ's eyes, what is not passing the test? Because, they've been sort of up and down all year a little bit, and they've had these road struggles all year. What right now is giving you the hesitation? What's changed?
Because they had another chance to prove that they can win on the road, and they proved us, they proved everyone right that they can't win on the road versus the Miami Dolphins. They had another opportunity. The Miami Dolphins, a good, solid team. They were playing in Miami, and they lost that game once again. So therefore, the doubts of them, winning the playoffs, going on the road to win a game are all out the window. No one really believes in them. If they had a home game, yes, everyone would believe it in the Dallas Cowboys, but they're not going to have a home game in the playoffs now. So that's just out the window about the Dallas Cowboys winning in the playoffs now. And on top of it, they got to get the running game going. That's when they were winning. It was Tony Pollard was running the ball, going for 100+ yards. He only has 82 yards in the last 2 games total. They need to get the run game going if they want to win, if the Cowboys want to see their chances grow.
Is that a vacuum behind you? What is that?
Yeah, it is a vacuum. I like to keep my place clean, Kay. Even though it's a little messy, I just keep it there just to pretend that I'm a clean guy. But the vacuum's better. The vacuum's awesome. It does a great job. And it's one of the ones where you just plug in the wall and it just gets going and sucks everything right up. So, yeah, it's a vacuum.
Yeah, I don't know how many other kinds of vacuums are there. You just described it pretty well. I want to ask you, obviously, everybody watched the Ravens and the Niners, and all credit to Lamar and all of this. And then there's all these questions that come up about Brock Purdy because we just have to tear this kid down while he's having success for whatever reason people are doing that. Micah Parsons, as we talk about the Cowboys. So the Cowboys lose to the Dolphins. And afterwards, he's tweeting about Brock Purdy. And he's watching the Niners-Ravens game like everybody else. And he says, down 21, and there are no shots or development throws. Should tell you all you need to know. Is Micah, is this okay to do?
Okay. It's really weird that he's tweeting that out there. First, there's a saying out there. Losers focus on winners and winners focus on winning. And if you want to be a winner, you just got to focus on winning. It's really, really weird because in this case, though, Micah Parsons is one of the best defensive players in the league. He might win Defensive Player of the Year this year. But on top of it, it's a team game. It doesn't matter how good you are as an individual. It matters about a team. And it's weird that he's tweeting that after a loss versus Miami in Miami. And then he's tweeting that about a team that absolutely dismantled the Cowboys when they played them this year. So it's just weird to me because he's an outstanding player and he's doing his thing this year, but you're worried about the San Francisco 49ers and you're tweeting about them. I really don't know what else to say besides it's a weird situation. I really don't know how to break it down from there.
It's well said. Why do you think Brock Purdy and like Cam Newton is tweeting emojis like wanting him to fail? It's like this pitchfork thing for this kid. Why is he such a lightning rod, Brock Purdy?
Because he's humble, I guess, doesn't talk garbage. He's doing what he needs to do to get the job done. He was the last pick of the draft.
We should root for those stories. Like those are stories that we love.
Exactly. That's why it's difficult to explain. I mean, it's great to see Brock Purdy succeed. The last pick of the draft, it gives people hope in the future that are drafted in the 7th round, that are drafted in the 6th round. It's like Brady drafted in the 5th round. It gives people that hope that they can be, the next great player, even though they were passed on over 200 times and then picked in the 7th round or even picked as a undrafted free agent. So I like guys. I like seeing them succeed like Brock Purdy that were drafted last in the NFL draft. It's a great story. It's a great storyline. And I'm all in for Brock Purdy to succeed. And I want to see him succeed.
Do you think they'll make it to the Super Bowl after what you saw against the Ravens?
I think that game versus the Ravens was kind of a fluke. I mean, it wasn't a game that really mattered that much. It was a game that they could afford to drop because they can still win, the number 1 seed in the NFC if they just win out. So it wasn't a game that I would say that there was much hesitation to be great at. And then when that happens, the Baltimore Ravens, they were on fire. That was a game that they were throwing all their shots in the buckets to make sure that they won the game. And I feel like Coach Shanahan kind of kept it vanilla on the offensive side of the ball. I really won't look too much into this loss. I think the San Francisco 49ers are still the best team in the NFL, and I think they'll run the table once they hit the playoffs.
Ooh, a lot of power rankings disagreeing with that, putting the Ravens on top of the Niners. But Gronk is saying what Gronk says. I got to talk to you about tomorrow night's game. It's kind of it's Jets-Browns, not that exciting, but the Browns do clinch a playoff spot if they get a win. Are people sleeping on this surging Brown squad? I think so.
Yes, I think the Browns will have a deep playoff run. I think everyone's sleeping on them. I think Coach Stefanski should be Coach of the Year, no doubt about it. This is his 4th quarterback this year that he has won with. I mean, name another time a coach has done that. Won with 4 different quarterbacks and at the helm of getting the top wild card seed in the playoffs if the Cleveland Browns win out, which they should. And then on top of it, Joe Flacco, what a story. What NFL fan is not cheering for Joe Flacco right now? It's the first time in history that the NFL all the fans outside of Cleveland is actually cheering for the Cleveland Browns to win because of the Joe Flacco story. So Joe Flacco has put Cleveland on the map like never seen before with the Cleveland Browns. So that's a really cool story. He's lights out right now. He just got off the couch a month ago. He leads the league in passing touchdowns, passing yards in the last month. So kudos to Joe Flacco doing what he's doing. And the only reason why the Cleveland Browns versus Jets is actually a cool game to kind of watch is because Joe Flacco was on the Jets the last couple of years and no one actually heard about him on the Jets because it's the Jets, and whenever you're on the Jets, I mean, you don't really get heard of that much because they're not that good. But also they rejected Joe Flacco this year. When freaking Aaron Rodgers went down, they rejected Joe Flacco on the New York Jets, and now look at him. I hope he absolutely dismantles the secondary on the New York Jets this week.
So your Super Bowl pick right now, if I'm hearing this correctly, and I'm inferring quite a bit, Brock Purdy versus Joe Flacco.
Possibly. I mean, I think the Cleveland Browns will have a deep playoff run. I think they're a Super Bowl contender. They're the only team that has beaten the San Francisco 49ers and the Baltimore Ravens, and they beat Baltimore Baltimore, which is very, very impressive. And then obviously they got the number one defense in football too, led by Myles Garrett, who's just an absolute freak show. So I think people are sleeping on the Cleveland Browns. I think they will have a deep playoff run, and it's going to be between the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns, I think, who goes to the Super Bowl.
Okay, I got some questions for you coming in. These are from Twitter. These are from our YouTube Live as well. There's a bunch of these. There's Will Breen, Cheesehead Champ, Jesse Conway 48, and they're all asking, ask Gronk why he doesn't like the Packers. Why does Gronk be hating on the Packers?
Wait a second. When did I ever hate on the Packers? I really never hated on the Packers. When Thanksgiving came, I said how great they looked. It was they finally put an offensive game plan together where they were using all their players that they needed to use in order to beat the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving. But I'm not a Packers hater at all. I actually think going to Lambeau Field and playing in Lambeau Field is one of the best football atmospheres in all of the NFL, actually in all of football. The field is right on top of you. The fans are going absolutely berserk, and it just feels like you're in the right place while playing a football game there. So I don't hate the Packers at all. You want to know who I hate? I don't really like the Jets, and I don't really like the Colts. So I don't know where the Packers came from. So I might have said something
I thought about
2 times about them, but that's all.
I thought about asking who you like worse, but you have to hate the Colts more than the Jets because the Jets sort of were fun for you. It was just like, it was easy for you to take care of business against the Jets and kind of fun. You didn't hate them, but the Colts were whiny and all of that.
Exactly. I actually, I just dislike the Jets. I don't really have a hatred for the Jets. It's just our rival in our division. But and it was at the beginning of my career. But yes, the Colts, let me tell you, I do not like the Colts. I was just on Julian's podcast, Names of Games, actually, and we absolutely just dismantled the Colts. We ripped them apart. They were hanging banners for winning a division. They were always a little cocky, always talk garbage when they played us. We just romped them week in and week out every time we played them, especially in the playoffs. I don't like the Colts. I always loved, running up the score versus them. We dominated them in the pass game and in the run game as well. And we were dominating them so bad that they came up with that Deflategate BS because they needed an excuse why we were absolutely terrorizing them.
And Deflategate makes its way into the conversation. You guys did run very effectively on them, I will say. What is the most pizza rolls you've ever eaten in one sitting?
The most pizza rolls I've ever eaten in one city, I would say, was at our ballpark growing up as a kid. It was called Lou Gehrig. There's about 10 fields there, and they sold pizza logs there. So I would say I probably had about 8 to 10 one day as a kid, and probably wanted to throw up after, but they were the best things out there. I think you could get a Grand Slam with 4 pizza logs for like $5 back in the day, and I ordered 2 Grand Slams, ate them all. So pizza logs, that's definitely a Buffalo thing as well, and they're delicious.
If New England Gronk challenged Tampa Gronk to a dance-off, who would win?
New England Gronk by far. When I was in my 20s, my dance moves were extraordinary, no doubt about that. I was like the Energizer Bunny on the dance floor. It didn't matter where I was, if I was in the end zone or if I was out on the dance floor at a bar or a club. I danced for literally 2 to 3 hours. That's why I said my partying helped me out on the field, because when I went out partying, it was really like more of a cardio when I went out. I would run around on the dance floor for 2 to 3 hours doing all type of different movements. So therefore, I was ready for practice that week because of my cardio I performed throughout on the weekends.
People want to know where they can get those Gronk Fitness shirts.
These Gronk Fitness shirts, these are actually the old school Gronk Fitness shirts. I actually just teamed up with Built Basics, and they're actually making all the Gronk Fitness products right now and all the Gronk Fitness merchandise, which is coming out next week. Actually, next month in January, we're actually dropping a whole new line of Gronk Fitness products, accessories, home gyms. So if you want to get fit, you want the best products in the game, you want the best merchandise in the game, check out Gronk Fitness next month when all our new products drop in January.
It's really well said. You were shot out of a cannon this morning. I'll ask you one more. We have Gridiron Girl saying, who in your opinion is the best blocking tight end right now? Maybe not flashy, but the most efficient in protection.
My favorite guy in the NFL, just overall complete tight end, is George Kittle. I just like his game overall. He blocks on reverses. He blocks 9 techniques when he's on the line with his hand down. He's a guy that wants to get dirty in the trenches, and then he's also a great player in the pass game. I would say if he was on a different offense, he'd probably have about 90 to 100 catches right now, but there's just so many players on the San Francisco 49ers to distribute the ball to, so his production in the pass game isn't up there, but he doesn't complain about it. He's a humble guy, and he gets it done in the run game and pass protection game as well.
It's really well said by you, Gronk, as always, and you picked, the Niners as the best team in the NFL still, even though they got their loss after this. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe right here. Do it now for the latest from Up and Adams.